This is the third video in the series on consciousness. In the previous video, we explored what it is like to be a bot, the idea that consciousness includes not just function, but experience. Today's piece is more grounded. It's about what happens when consciousness breaks, not in theory, but in a real person, my grandmother. This video is based on a real event. My grandmother had a massive stroke. What happened to her brain and to her consciousness made me look more closely at how fragile the system behind awareness really is. This isn't a story about death. It's a look at how consciousness can disappear, even when the body survives. We often treat the brain like a machine, with switches and modules, but in reality it's more like an ecosystem. Consciousness depends on many parts of that system working together. Blood flow, pressure, neural connectivity, timing. When something breaks, especially in a major way, consciousness isn't just affected. It can shut down completely. In a hemorrhagic stroke like this, blood enters the brain tissue and begins to damage structures from the inside. Several major regions were affected: the frontal, temporal, and parietal lobes in the right hemisphere. Each of these play a role in conscious experience. The frontal lobe is involved in initiating movement, planning, and decision-making. The parietal lobe integrates sensory information and spatial awareness, giving us a sense of where we are in the world. The temporal lobe links perception with memory and helps make sense of sound and language. These are all critical regions. Damage here affects not just motor function, but perception, coordination, and higher cognition. But despite how serious all of that is, none of these areas alone determines whether a person is conscious. The key system, the one that must be functioning for any of this to matter, is much deeper. Deep inside the brainstem lies the Reticular Activating System, or RAS. It's a dense network of neurons running through the pons, midbrain, and into thalamus. Its role isn't to think or remember. It doesn't generate thoughts, emotions, or decisions. Its function is much more basic, but absolutely essential. The RAS maintains wakefulness. It acts like a power supply to the rest of the brain. It sends signals upward to activate the cortex, enabling networks across the brain to function in coordination. Without the RAS, the cortex doesn't light up. Even if the cortex is structurally intact, it cannot operate as a conscious system. In strokes where RAS is damaged, a person may appear alive, breathing, with a heartbeat, but unconscious and unresponsive. It's not just important, it's foundational. It's the gatekeeper to experience itself. Even if every other region of the brain were preserved, a non-functioning RAS would leave a person unconscious. This doesn't mean consciousness is the brain, but it does mean that the brain, or more specifically a functioning, integrated ecosystem of connected parts, is a necessary condition for conscious experience to arise. Consciousness may involve more than biology, but biology sets the stage. And when critical systems like the RAS fail, consciousness isn't just affected, it's lost. Neuroscience may not tell us what consciousness is, but it shows us what happens when the conditions for it are no longer met. Most strokes are treatable, if caught early. The NHS uses the FAST test. Face. Can they smile? Has one side dropped? Arms. Can they lift both arms and keep them there? Speech. Is it slurred or strange? And time. Time to call emergency services. If you notice any of these signs, don't wait. This case made me realize how easy it is to take consciousness for granted, as if it's always just on, but the brain has to actively maintain it, and if key systems fail, especially something like the RAS, there is no fallback. This isn't just about one stroke, it's a reminder that what we call being conscious depends on a system that is far more fragile than it seems. If this kind of structured, science-based reflection resonates with you, consider subscribing. In the next video, we'll explore one of the few scientific approaches that tries to connect brain activity with lived experience, a method called neurophenomenology.